Hey, listeners. My name is Elisha, the founder of the Witnesses podcast. It's so beautiful to have you listening to our podcast. And I want you to know something that means a whole lot to me. Thank you for tuning in. And one thing I love to tell all of our listeners is it's not just about you listening, but listening to understand. Understanding is the most important thing. So important. So, you have to listen, learn, and practice. Thank you so very much and happy listening.
Hi, Claire. It's so nice to meet you. It's so nice to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you. And what a pleasure to meet you today, Elisha.
Beautiful. Okay, so oftentimes, Claire, I love to talk about the essence of this show, which is to invite amazing guests, amazing guests like Claire, to come talk to us about their triumphant stories. Because we believe that in our audience, there might be some people who are stuck up in a situation that Claire came out of triumphantly. So by those people getting to listen to you speak, they might actually pick some information from your words, the ones you'll be saying here today, that might lead to their transformation. So the essence of this show is to cause transformation in the lives of the ones who are going to be listening. All right, Claire. Within the next few minutes, let us get started with your story, the challenges that you faced, and how you overcame them. And afterwards, I've got some 1, 2, 3. Okay, beautiful questions for you. Okay, Claire, over to you.
I just love the word transformation. Can we just sit with that word first? Because I just think that's such an amazing thing, isn't it? Because it's something about things being different.
Hmm.
And I've just come off a teaching call where we were teaching people about transformation. And we were talking about transformation is like making a cake. So if you make a cake from all the different bits of the cake, you can't unmake a cake. So once you've mixed all the things together and cooked it, it becomes a new thing. So transformation is what I do and what I teach people to do. So So it's about permanent change, isn't it? And that's why this is such a great show.
Yeah,
So
thank
my
you.
story.
Yeah.
You might need to help me.
Okay.
So my story is that I went to university and did the wrong degree. So I was at a school where in those days, a long time ago, they said that they encouraged you to do a degree in a subject that you'd done at school. So that only left me mathematics, French, and economics. And the French teacher said I wasn't very good at French. Now, it turned out I was, but anyway, she said I wasn't. So that was French off the table. So I went to university to do a mathematics degree, and I was really bad at it. But I was just good enough to just pass. But I can remember in my final exams, 2 of the papers, I didn't actually write anything apart from my name. So I was very fortunate to pass at all. I must have been a little better in some of the other papers. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I liked people. So I went and did a postgraduate certificate in education and trained to become a teacher, which I absolutely loved. And so suddenly at 21, I'd found something that I was good at and that I could do. Whereas at college, I'd found something I couldn't do and I wasn't very good at. And all my friends were going off and they were finding jobs and they knew what they wanted to do with their career. I didn't really know, but I did know that I wanted to teach in Africa. So I applied for a job with a volunteering organisation and I went to Kenya and I taught in a village secondary school mathematics. And it was a secondary school that had 6 teachers. So I taught 1/6 of the curriculum. So I also taught African literature, business studies, English, maths. And I absolutely loved it. And suddenly I'd found my way. But the organisation that I was with really recommended that if you decided that's where you wanted to stay forever, that you made that decision from the UK, because actually, although life was really difficult, we didn't have electricity, we didn't have running water. You had to walk an hour from the nearest road at that time to get to the place that we lived. I came back to the UK and recognised that I'd wanted to stay in Kenya because it was actually a really beautiful place to be, lovely people, and actually an easy life. Because what I learned was the less you have, the easier. For me, it was easier to live. I was paid a teacher's salary, so I had enough money. So I came back to the UK, had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do. 6 months, I'm no idea what I want to do. And the longer the time went on, the more people were going, yeah, you've got to get a job. You should perhaps be a teacher. And I loved teaching, but I did not want to be, having taught for over 2 years, I didn't want to be teaching algebra every Monday morning to Form 4, because that wasn't exciting for me. So it was exciting once and it was exciting twice, but it wasn't exciting for the rest of my life. So people kept sending me job adverts, and I got this job advert, and it was for an international organisation, and it was called Information and Counselling Secretary. And clearly, from the job advert, it needed somebody with a lot more experience than me. So I applied in order to make them go away. And I got it. I got the job. And it was coaching, which is actually the job that I do now. So that was that was 40 years ago. And now I do what I was doing then. But the amazing thing and the transformational story is that I was way ahead of the game in the world of coaching. So that job was coaching, but it wasn't called that. It was called something else. And so over the years, I found myself at the pioneer end of a new industry. And that's been an incredible journey. And if I can share my up-to-date thing about the incredible journey, is that first job in the early 80s was about making a social impact in a rural school where the parents couldn't afford to send their kids to government school. And last week, we won an award with the National Health Service in the UK together, NHS England, London region, and my company, 3D Coaching, won a gold award for social impact for a piece of work that we've just finished doing. So how amazing is that? That is my whole journey in about 3 minutes.
Wow, your journey is so inspiring, and it's a beautiful one, I tell you. Transformation. I really love it. Okay, so shall we dive into the questions now, Claire?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, so the very first one, let's talk about cutting through complexity and simplifying coaching. You got that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the things that I've discovered in my 40 years in this industry, that's only been going for less than 40 years, but it hasn't, because it's been going for 2,000 years. Socrates talked about conversations. Coaching is an industry where you can make a lot of money. So if I come up with a good idea and I can persuade people to buy it, then I can make a lot of money. And then somebody else comes up with another idea. And then we keep saying, well, actually, we need more and more ideas. And we start making people think that they need all of these things to be good at what they do. But one of the things that I've held true through the whole of my career, and in the last 10 years got really confident about shouting about it, is that coaching is simply a conversation between two people where one of us, which is about one of us. So it's about it. So if I'm a coach, it's about the other person, it's about you. And it's a conversation where you feel heard and where you understand something about your own stuff that you didn't understand before. That makes a difference. So I've spent the last 10 years really working. I'd been doing it before then, but I think I've made more noise over the last 10 years about actually saying it's not that complex. It's much more simple than the industry is suggesting. And if we do less, the people that we're working with will do more. And the transformation will have a much bigger impact. And so I had a book come out in 2020 called Simplifying Coaching, which was really terrifying because I was speaking to the industry, talking about something that isn't spoken of. There's an English fairy tale about the emperor's new clothes, and it's about an emperor, so a ruler who has no clothes, but everybody has to pretend he's got clothes. And then a child says, "You're not wearing any clothes." And it felt a bit like that. And I had lots of people supporting me because I thought that the industry would really turn on me. And it didn't. And what actually happened is that every week I get emails from people all over the world saying, "Thank you so much for saying it's not that complicated." And that's just been beautiful. But it's a risk, isn't it? When you step up and you say something that is against what everybody else is saying, or against what you can hear is the narrative in the industry, it's really scary. But I also felt really strongly that I had to do it. But it's not easy to be simple, right? Because it takes a huge amount of art and skill and work to be able to be simple.
That's so true. I got that. Whoa, I love that, man. Okay, the second question. This says, why is partnership so important to you?
Publishing.
Partnership.
Oh,
Why is it,
partnership.
why is it so important to you?
That is such a good question, and nobody has ever asked it quite like that. Partnership matters to me because most ways that we engage in the world, we have a conversation with somebody who is more expert than we are. So if I go and take legal advice from a lawyer, they know more about the law than I do. So I know about my situation, but they are the expert. If I go to the medical doctor, they are the expert. So I will go and I will receive good information from them that will help me because I need advice. But nobody is more of an expert in my life or your life than I am in mine and you are in yours. So you can't, when you're talking about somebody's life and the way they are in their life and the way they are in their work, you can't give somebody advice because we are complex human beings who have thousands of thoughts every second and all these great things. So partnership means that I support you to do some really good work about your stuff because we're working together to make that true rather than I'm telling you what to do. And partnership doesn't happen very often in conversations in the world. Usually somebody has more power than the other person. There's a great book called by Robert Fuller about somebodies and nobodies. So often we feel like we're nobody in a conversation because we go to somebody who's somebody so that they can help us. But partnership is that we are working together and we are both somebody. But for that to work, I need to be smaller than I might be if I was an expert, because I need to work with you so that you become great.
That was a beautiful answer. Oh my, I love that. Okay, Claire, the second to the last question. What is the difference between mentoring and supervision?
Mentoring and supervision, and there's also
Yeah,
coaching. Can I add a third? Can I add coaching into that
yeah,
space as well?
sure.
So, well, I'm going to say, and some of your listeners are not going to agree with me. So what I want to say is it doesn't really matter what you call each of them, but what you've described there are three different engagements in one-to-one relationships. So one of them is facilitating somebody else to do their own good work, so to do their own thinking. I call that coaching. You might call that something else. Then there's another one where somebody who is more experienced or wiser is offering stuff to somebody who is less experienced, and they're passing over some information. So I would call that mentoring. You might call that something else. The art of the great mentor is that they don't tell all their wise stuff to somebody all in one go, because it's like a fire hose or a tsunami of stuff. So in mentoring, there's a huge risk that somebody who is receiving mentoring, who wants to learn all the wisdom, and somebody who is very wise, who wants to give all the wisdom, they come together in a conversation, and the mentor shares a lot of stuff. And it's too much. So the person who's being mentored goes, oh, that was amazing. But what you've done is you've heard a whole lot of really great stories, but you can't do anything with it. So for me, using a coaching style to do mentoring can help, so that you only share the bit that's useful for the person in this moment. So that's coaching, mentoring. And supervision is more of a kind of oversight thing, which ensures quality and consistency and really helps people think about how they are when they're doing their work as a professional. So you get supervision, don't you, if you're a nurse or a doctor? You get supervision if you're a coach, which is supporting you to be a better professional, I guess. But some people call them all, would label those in different ways, and that doesn't matter. But what matters is that they're different, and that we're clear when we're doing something that we're doing what you need, and that we've agreed what you need and what I'm doing, and we're actually doing what we said we'd do.
Beautiful. I got that. Thank you for explaining that way. I got it. Okay, so Claire, the last question. Let's say there is one piece of advice you love to give to the audience. What would that be? And let's say there are someone listening who would love to learn more about you, get your book, and learn more about what you do. How can that be possible?
So my one piece of advice is, when you're in conversation with other people, don't work too hard. If your job is to help somebody else grow and flourish, you need to give them space to do that. And often we try and add value by doing too much. And actually what we need to do is the least that we can do in order for them to get what they need, not the most. So that would be my one piece of advice. If you want to find out more about me, my website is www.3dcoaching.com, and my books, Simplifying Coaching and The Human Behind the Coach, are available on all the big book platforms across the world.
Beautiful. Thank you for your time, Claire. That's going to be the end of the show.
Well,
thank you for coming. Thank you for honoring the
thank you for
invite.
having me.
It means a lot. Thank you.
So have you stopped recording?
Thank you for tuning in to this incredible episode. Your support means the world to us, and we truly value you. We look forward to having you join us for the next episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Your feedback is greatly appreciated.